Hey friend, it's Sean. This is your first guitar lesson. I've taught guitar for a long time, even before YouTube was a thing, and these are the types of topics I usually go over in a first guitar lesson. Do you already have a guitar? If you don't, I would encourage you to get a familiar brand like Yamaha that's not too expensive. If you get a brand nobody's ever heard of, you may get a piece of garbage. Now, online reviews can help you sift through the guitars that are out there, and if you have a friend that plays guitar, they can help you out as well. Once you have a guitar, you want to just get to know the parts of the guitar. There's the body, the neck, the head, sort of like a person. And then the strings, we're going to talk a lot about the strings when we're playing guitar. The strings are named with letters. E, A, D, G, B, E. You can use a sentence to remember that, like Eric and Dwayne got blues early. Now it's important to tune the guitar to make sure it sounds right. To do that, you can use a tuner app. I use one called Guitar Tuna, like the tuna fish. It's kind of a play on words. Or you can use a clip-on tuner that clips up here. Either way, what you'll do is you'll play each string, like you'll play the E string. Make sure your tuner lights up with the note E for the E string. Then make sure you go to the peg that's connected to that string, and you can turn the peg different directions to change the pitch of the string to make sure you get it in tune. Then you'll go to the next string, A, make sure your tuner lights up as A, and then, turn the peg that's connected to that string up and down until the tuner lights up that it is in tune for the note A. And you do that for each of the strings of the guitar. Then another thing we'll talk about a lot with the guitar is the frets. So the frets are the little wires that go across the neck. So if you play without your left hand, that's called an open string, or we can say O. And then here's 1, or the first fret, 2, second fret, 3, third fret, 4, fourth fret, etc. And so when we're playing notes, we are going to use numbers for those frets. By the way, if you want a summary of the things you need to know when you start playing the guitar, I've created a free guide called Guitar Quick Start. You can get it from the link in the description. One of the decisions you face when you start playing guitar is whether to play riffs or chords. Riffs sound like this. Chords sound like this. Now, because chords are so associated with the guitar, a lot of people think you should start with chords. You can do that, but it's a lot easier to move one finger for a riff than to move 3 or 4 fingers for a chord. So I would encourage you to get a few riffs under your fingers before you move on to chords. So today we're going to focus on a riff from Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple, and we're going to play 0, 3, 5, 0, 3, 6, 5, 0, 3, 5, 3, 0. Now, when I'm plucking the string, I'm using a pick. If you have a pick, you can use that. Just hold it between your thumb and index finger. If you don't have a pick, you can always just play the string with the thumb of your right hand. And then in the left hand, you can just use only your index finger at first. Later it would be nice to use multiple fingers because that would be faster. But as a beginner, often you can just slide your index finger around and that works just fine. And when you're playing at each fret, you want to make sure you're not on top of the fret wire because that'll be muted. And you want to make sure you're not too far back because that'll buzz. You want to be just right by the wire. And when you move to a new spot, a new fret, then you're going to have to find that location again where you're right by the fret but not on top of it. So you have to kind of lock in on each of those locations of where your fingertip needs to be to get a clear sound. Now, once you play the riff for the first time, celebrate. That's an accomplishment. That's awesome. Now, if you play this Smoke on the Water riff and you get good at it, you may want to play along with the recording. If you try to play along with the recording, it won't sound quite right. That's because the original song is in a different key. I taught you the easiest possible version of it, but if you want to play with the recording, you can do another version of that riff, which goes 3, 6, 8, 3, 6, 9, 8, 3, 6, 8, 6, 3, and then you'll be able to play along with the recording. Now, this is all so exciting. The guitar is such a fun instrument, and I'm so glad you're along on this journey. I will say that your fingertips may hurt a little bit as you press down the strings. This is normal. This is a hump that every beginner guitarist has to get over. The best way to get over this hump is to play 5 or 10 minutes a day for 2 or 3 weeks.